It's going on about a year since I've really done anything with my Amigas, and the other day I was on a flight for work, and as I was sitting there I thought, man, it sounds like I'm sitting right in front of my Amiga 2500. A while back, in pursuit of silence, I went up and picked up a silent fan for the power supply, and then I picked up a SCSI to SD adapter, and then I even grabbed some felt pads for the base. The cork ones that were on there originally have long gone, and it's just kind of sitting bare metal on the desk. So between these three things, it should be possible to make it pretty much silent, except for maybe the clicking floppy drive. A couple other things I picked up a while back is it's a Super Denise chip, and this one's actually for a Amiga 600, but I got the adapter. It's actually the guy that makes the 8 meg RAM expansion that fits into the 68K socket, and he just happened to have one on eBay for sale, so I went in and snatched it up. So put this in there, and hopefully it'll function properly, and I can I'll have a full ECS chipset. And then I also have just the coin battery holder. I've been meaning to put that in. I've kind of got one rigged in there, but I'm going to pull the board out and put it in properly. Start getting all the stuff stripped out of here. Based on the prices I've seen online, I could probably get 3 or 4 times more for this than what I paid for the whole system back when I bought it. One thing about these machines, they're always a real pain in the butt to work on. I forgot a screw here. Back in the day, I had a custom built case. Basically, the chassis of this was grafted into a full tower case, and it pretty much eliminated this whole tray. So if you needed to get in there to do something, you could just do it with really no problem whatsoever. Well, all right. That's my rig job there. Case is relatively clean. Pop those screws off there. Find a nut driver. Oh, can't find a nut driver. That should be a basic tool to have. So I resort to, I guess, breaking everything loose with the needle nose. I had a nut driver. No idea where it went though. Darn furnace kicked on it. Think about that. Tell it's still winter where I'm at. And the crap out of the shield getting off. Okay, I've not had the shield off this since I've had it. But the bottom looks pretty good. Somewhere in there I lost some video and it got blurred out. But I got the button cell installed. So that's one down and a few more to go. got the new Denise chip popped in place, and it seemed to fit without any problems. Now the moment of truth is to power the old girl on, see if it works. See what happens here. I see screen flickering. Probably take a little bit. There we go. Alright, cool. Looks like she's working. Awesome. My first noise improvement is going to be getting rid of the stock fan, replacing it with one of these silent fans. So it's just a matter of taking a screwdriver, popping these out. I probably ought to do this on a hard surface. Okay, I got the Spro fan removed. And it should be the same, but you want to double check airflow and rotation arrows, that they're the same. Put the little clips back on. Somewhere along the way, when I was making the videos of the various things I was doing, I lost some of it, and one of the things I was going to explain further was hooking the fan up in the power supply. And this isn't the fan in there, since the fan that's in there, I'd already had everything installed when I realized that I either forgot to hit record or lost it or whatever. But there's usually a silk screen on the board in there. And in this case, it's G for ground, V for voltage, and then F for fan, which would be the RPM. The other one said fan RPM, ground and voltage. It's going to be something similar. The RPM wire can just be cut, and then you just have to reconfigure the voltage and ground to be the same as the fan that you took out in the first originally. Much better. I really like the way that Mega chip connects. I managed to find some standoffs. I pulled them out of an old tube amp at some point when I was dismantling it. They're a little longer than I was anticipating. Makes it stand a little higher. I was hoping it would be a little closer to the board, but it's still shallower than the original hard drive, so it'll be fine. I just need to go back and revisit the setup instructions for this thing to see if I need to remove the terminators or not. I did manage to get my SCSI SD in and functioning. Something that I had a problem with, I was trying to just make one 8 gig drive and then partition it into multiple partitions, but for some reason it was only reporting that the drive was, I want to say it was 356 megs, and I had an 8 gig card in there. So I went into the setup on the SCSI SD and I switched it to 2 separate devices, 2 4 gig devices, and so far so good. It seems to be working okay, so I can go with that. Final test by 31. Wonder who that was. I do have to say that the Amiga is definitely a lot quieter now than it was prior to swapping out those parts. So I'd say mission accomplished on the noise aspect of this. I've got the plain vanilla workbench installed right now. I did add the driver for the memory card, and I've got gobs of memory, more than I'll ever use. The Super Denise chip is in there. I was thinking that there was more resolution options than what this is. It shows a 1200 by 200. For whatever reason, I just thought there was more. Alright, let me go into sysinfo here. It's got ECS Denise, ECS Agnes, speed test. It's not too awfully bad. Let me try the drives. DH0. Let's see how fast it is. Hmm, 1.3. Try it again. Interesting. I thought I was getting like 1.8 the other day when I was messing with this, when I was initially getting it set up. An issue I'm having is I'm getting a software failure message when I first cold boot. And it says if I hit the left mouse button it'll continue, but if I just let it set it will continue on its own without any problems. It's booting into a demo right now. I think the issues I'm having with the software failure at the beginning is due to the SCSI to SD adapter. The reason I say that is because when I pull the SCSI controller out and I just boot to a floppy or I boot to the kickstart screen, I don't have any issues with that. So my guess is maybe a setting that I have in there needs to be changed or something along those lines. It's really not a big problem since the computer still boots without any issues, and it's more of a inconvenience more than anything. But if anybody's had that issue similar to that, you know, just shoot me a comment or something of what you did to fix it, and I'll take a look at it and see if I can't get rid of it. All right, that's about it for now. I've had those parts for over a year, and I haven't gotten around to putting them in yet. I'm kind of glad that I did. One thing that I was going to do that I didn't do, that I was going to paint my CD drive the same color but as the rest of the case there, but once I got into looking at it I was going to have to tear the whole thing apart, and it was not as simple to get apart as I thought it was going to be, so rather than tearing something up, I just figured I'd leave it the way it is. But I'd like to do something with the workbench. Maybe try to get classic workbench on here somehow. If I can get the serial thing to stay stable enough to where I can move a 250 meg file without it failing on me. Seems to be a problem even with a add-in card. So you have a physical serial port, it still seems to have issues. So something I'd really love to see is a open source Zorro 2 network controller that you could just build. It seems like one of the things lacking on the Amiga is readily available networking options. I know there's the one that goes through the printer port, which would be fine, but you want to try to maximize speed as much as you can. I mean, granted, it's an old computer. You're never going to surf the net on it, but it'd be nice for downloading off AmiNet or going on your own home network or whatever. I need to get up by here and get the 1000 down. I had it started having some issues. Floppy drive's getting flaky, and I narrowed it down to a couple 7606 hex inverters. I think is where the problem is coming from. So that'll probably be one of my next Amiga projects. So until next time.